The TFL Off-Road Ineos Grenadier series is brought to you by Magna, makers of high-quality technology and parts for the next generation of cars and trucks, including the Grenadier. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 5 of our Ineos Grenadier series.
Yeah, it's me, Tommy, and Kase behind the camera.
How's it going?
So in this episode, we're going to do the lollipop of death, and that starts out with the wall, Tommy.
Yeah, so this is a really cool section of trail we just discovered here in Moab. And what we're gonna do is really put this Grenadier through some more extreme four-wheel driving and see some of the pros and the cons of what they've done with this old school four-wheel drive.
Yeah, in episode 3, we took it on visiting things, but it was just too capable. So we thought, let's actually test it on a real obstacle. So here we have a very steep wall with articulation, with traction issues. Anyway, I think I'm describing it. Let's just do it.
All right, but first, let me tell you a little bit about this vehicle. So this is an all-new vehicle made by a company called Ineos, or Ineos, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And if you think it looks like a Defender, that is not a coincidence, because the gentleman who runs this company wanted Land Rover to keep building the Defender. He tried to buy the rights to it. Land Rover said no, so he said, screw you, I'm gonna go do it myself. And he did. There was a lawsuit. He won the lawsuit. And what we have here is a vehicle that has no Land Rover in it whatsoever, even though the design is clearly inspired. But this is a proper old school thought process to building a four-wheel drive. A ladder chassis, body on frame construction, and solid axles not only in the rear, but the front as well, with 3 lockers. A center locker, a front locker, and a rear locker. In case you like the design?
Oh, especially in the way that Roman spec'd it out. White top, blue on the body, and these steelies, it couldn't look better.
And my dad did a great thing too. He got all the off-road gear, so we do have the front and rear lockers. This vehicle starts at about 71,000. As equipped, we're knocking on the door of 80, but he also got the rock rails. These are a dealer-installed accessory, and I think we're going to put those through the test.
Absolutely, because it's not a short wheelbase.
It is not a short wheelbase.
All right, so the lollipop of death is just one circle. So what I'll do, Tommy, is I'll spot you. You and Kase hop in the vehicle, go around, and I'll spot you when you come back. And let's see if it actually can do it without, tearing itself apart.
All right, that sounds good to me. So I'm going to hop in, Kase. I'll let you get over to the wall, and we're going to see the performance of this Grenadier on something a little bit more challenging. Now, let's talk about the powertrain in this vehicle. So, the Grenadier actually uses a BMW engine and a ZF transmission. The BMW engine is a B58 inline 6 turbo, same engine you'd find in like a 3 Series and X5, but also the same engine you'd find in a Toyota Supra. And I've talked to Toyota about this engine, and they say they've put it through the same rigorous testing as any other engine they do, so hopefully it's going to be long-lived and reliable, but we're going to keep this vehicle for just over a year. We purchased it with our own money, but we're going to see what the long-term reliability is. So I'm going to try a couple different lines at this wall. This is an extremely steep, almost, well, it is slick rock, but it's covered in sand, which makes it slick. And we've got a set of KO2 tires. We're going to let Kase get into position.
Coming up here.
There it goes. All right, so Kase is in position. Now I'm going to start this vehicle off in low range, center diff locked, and we're going to try to go up it with our diffs unlocked. Oh, one more thing. Let me go ahead and engage off-road mode, which I do by pushing this button up here on the ceiling twice. And in off-road mode, it's going to disengage some of the sensors, and it even disengages the seatbelt chime. Not that I'm saying you should ever drive this vehicle without seatbelts, but off-road, you're in and out a lot, and having that thing chime at you at 2 miles an hour when you're just trying to move it can be really annoying. Okay, so right off the bat, getting quite a bit of wheel spin. Yeah, traction control's working at it a little bit, but look, here's what I'm going to do. The traction control intervention, especially compared to something like Toyota's A-Track, is very, very, very mild. So what I'm going to do instead is just go ahead and engage the lockers. We're going to go full enchilada on this. Magna is a global automotive engineering and manufacturing giant and one of the key partners in the Ineos Grenadier. You want to build and manufacture a 4x4 from scratch? Magna can do it. Let me show you what they did on our Grenadier. Magna engineered and builds the Grenadier's frame, suspension, and transfer case, and they tuned the BMW 3-liter inline 6 to meet the Ineos' needs for off-road capability and durability. And next up for Magna is the Ineos Fusilier, an all-electric four-wheel drive SUV. Expect a full EV and plug-in hybrid variant engineered and built by Magna for Ineos. If it turns out anything like the Grenadier, it could be a game changer for the off-road industry. To find out more about what Magna is doing with Ineos and a bunch of other global automotive brands, be sure to click the link in the description below.
So there you go. That was Tommy trying to come up with open diffs. Hey, Tom, you gonna lock it now?
Yep, I'm locking it up.
All right, Kase, he's gonna lock it.
Yeah, he's gonna need to.
All right. So push the button. Let's go ahead and try front and rear. Let's see how the locker engagement is. Check lock conditions. Okay, let's go into drive. We're in low range. Check lock conditions. What is the issue? Off-road on, off-road mode on. It is not wanting to lock it up. Low range, center diff locked. Let me try, oh, gotta go rear and then front. I wish if you hit the front, it would just automatically lock the rear. Okay, so that was user error on my part. So rear is locked up, and the front, I've noticed this a lot, is so unwilling to lock on this vehicle. It really takes a lot to convince it to lock. There we go. All right, we got both lights solid, we're all locked up. That torque is very impressive out of that 3-liter inline 6. Come on, Ineos. On the rock rail. But look at that. It did it.
It look easy.
It was like, I was out here yesterday with the AT4X Sierra AEV, and that thing was working hard. And this
Hold up,
thing,
Tommy.
it just walked right up.
Up in Kase. I didn't even have to spot you.
Yeah, good work.
You made it look easy.
I was kind of curious. You know, this is a long wheelbase vehicle. The whole vehicle is about 191 inches in length. The wheelbase is like 6 inches longer than a 4Runner, and we still we barely hit on that, Kase.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of vehicles go up that, everything from HD trucks on 37-inch tires to small, light, and nimble Tacomas, and I don't know if I've seen a vehicle make it look easier.
That was awesome. Really impressive. And these tires, I think, they're 265/70 R17s. I'll double check that when I hop out, but it's not a huge tire, and still walk right up. So, Kase, I'm going to go ahead and try to disengage the locking diffs.
How's that process been? Are they kicking on and off pretty easy?
No, I wouldn't say that. So look, they're blinking, they're blinking, they're blinking. I notice you do have to drive quite some distance before they actually kick off.
Yeah, so the way that works, and it's interesting, but according to the user manual, when you kick the lockers off, the vehicle waits until it sees a difference in speed to confirm that the lockers are indeed off. So it's looking at the wheel speed sensors to confirm that they're off, which means you kind of need to drive for a while and go around some turns before it will actually display that the lockers are off, even if they are already disengaged.
Now that's interesting, because I noticed earlier today when we were on the trail, when I turned the lockers off, you could feel pretty immediately that they were off, but these were blinking.
Yeah.
And the indicator on what's called the telltale there was also not displaying. So now it says we got center and front locked, but it doesn't feel like the front's locked. So that's an interesting thing you just said, Kase.
Yeah.
What do you think of this interior? Do you like the overhead switches?
As far as design goes, the overhead switches and the center stack here all look phenomenal. We also optioned this compass, which I think is another great looking item. I don't love, like most people, the lack of a gauge cluster directly in front of you, and this screen is not the greatest, especially compared to a lot of modern cars. But really the biggest thing is just the materials. They don't feel super premium for an $80,000 vehicle.
I would agree. Like, some of the plastics are kind of chintzy. But look, what they were going for with this vehicle is not Range Rover competitive. They were going for very utilitarian. So it's got, manual seats. It's got manual recline, no heated seats in the spec. We don't have a heated steering wheel. We didn't even get the roof panels. So 80 grand, you're missing a lot of stuff. But what they would tell you is like, look, we wanted this vehicle to be simple. So
well, yeah, and I'm all about simplicity and ruggedness, but it is those things at a luxury price, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to justify.
So one thing I'm noticing is the ride's a little stiffer than I was initially expecting. Of course, coil springs, but it is a fairly stiff ride, and if we aired this thing down to 10, 15 PSI, it'd be a lot better. But this was just a quick one take I wanted to try on this rather gnarly trail. But so far, my favorite aspect are twofold, Kase. The visibility,
Yeah.
these huge windows make looking out of this vehicle incredibly easy. You really get a sense of the front end because it's perfectly flat, and that huge panoramic windshield makes it super easy to see out of.
Well, and good sight lines are something that are almost disappeared from modern cars.
Yeah.
Even off-roaders, they've got these big boxy hoods that look very masculine from the outside, but from the inside, you've got no idea what you're driving over. And this is much better, although the visibility out the back.
There's none of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got that split opening gate setup, which really limits. But I gotta say, the second thing I was really impressed with is the steering. So this steering is very slow, very, very slow. And it's very imprecise on the road. So you spend a lot of time just sawing at this thing, keeping this truck going straight at 80. But off-road, the steering is so slow that making wheel placement, placing wheels where you want is about as easy as it gets. I'm actually going to go over here. You're going to see that it's easier. Hey, I did this yesterday. It's a piece of cake. Yeah, we're going to take a kind of a cool line here. You want to hop out again, Kase?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad. I want to take the harder line, not the easy line. All right. So we're going to come down this little cliff face here, which is going to look like nothing on camera, but it is fairly steep in person. Another great thing is these wheels are pushed all the way to the corners of the vehicle, so especially that departure angle is insanely good. Check that out though. I mean, it's really impressive low speed torque delivery and control. You know, when you hear turbos, you think of them maybe being a little twitchy. You know, I'm not getting any of that at all. My first impression is one of extreme control. All right, now this is where I'm going to need the spot, Dad. I would appreciate one here. Feeling those axles do their thing is very satisfying. The front end articulation is a little bit limited. Kase, I'll let you get in position up front here. However you decide would look best. And let's see how it does in these holes. Now I have front and rear lockers disengaged. Only my center is locked up. This is a full-time four-wheel drive, which is also a really cool feature. All right, we are completely stuffed here. There was some traction control intervention. Good thing we got those rock rails. We may need them here. This is a wide vehicle. It is a really wide vehicle. Little skid plate action, fully protected underneath. Look at that. The control is unreal. You know, I feel that like the 2-liter in the Jeep, the turbo, is a little twitchy. But this Ineos has just got such a linear throttle action in low range. In off-road mode, it's got some other kind of features that it disables. It also has a waiting mode. We also have hill descent if we wanted to turn that on. And the other thing which I also want to point out is, look, some of the material plastics feel a little cheap, but the build quality, this thing is screwed together well. It really feels very, very solid in here. No squeaks, no rattles, even on some of these rougher bumps. Oh, we didn't scrape there, Dad. That was pretty good. Yeah, folks, I gotta say, I am more than impressed with this vehicle when you consider it's a new manufacturer with, I mean, let's be real about this. This is a English design with a German engine, Italian axles built in France. And none of that really screams off-road capability to me, but the package just works. Kase, what'd you think, my dude?
Oh, it's fantastic off-road. It's smooth to drive, which not every vehicle is in low range. Like you said, the steering, the suspension, it all feels like it's sorted specifically to go off-road.
Sometimes when you combine ingredients, you get magic. So you've got...
Oh, I just said it. You got the German engine, the Italian axles, built in France and designed in the UK.
And driven in Moab. And you've got magic. I think this is as good as any Wrangler, any Bronco out there.
It's a little heavy. It's 5,800 pounds. That's the one thing is that you really feel the mass, but it is very, very capable.
Well, it's an Overlander, so you got 1,500 pounds of payload. What Wrangler or Bronco has that?
Well, folks, a big thank you for watching this episode. A huge thank you to Kase behind the camera for his help today out here. And that was a fun one. And big thank you to our Patreon followers who saw this series first. Couldn't do it without you guys.
See you guys next time. Ciao.